Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests.
Please, set your clock back 10 years to 2003, actually, in this room. Think about what life was like for the LGBT community back then.
Prop 8 was still 5 years in the making. Massachusetts did not yet have same-sex marriage. Canada even didn't have same-sex marriage. The only two countries in the world were Belgium and the Netherlands.
The landmark Lawrence versus Texas case had not yet been decided. It was a rainy Ides of March.
And a Toastmasters Club wanted to form.
At the time, for myself, as was talked in the introduction, I was a member of Toastmasters out in Thousand Oaks. But there were three things I needed. I needed a job. I needed to transition. And I needed health insurance. That last one caused a problem. You see, I applied for an individual policy back then, and I got a letter back from them saying, "Dear Mr. Runge, we're sorry, we cannot offer you insurance because you're taking estrogen to change your sex." Showed that to my doctor, who knew that I was in excellent health, and he was livid. I got to thinking about this. I said, well, how do they get away with this? Why do they get away with this? And I realized, well, it's because LGBT people don't speak out. So, well, why don't they speak out? Well, maybe because they're afraid to. Maybe we don't know how to. Well, why not join Toastmasters? And the problem, of course, is people don't face two fears at once. The fear of, will I be accepted? And how do I learn how to speak in public? So why not join an LGBT club? Well, because none existed. Yet. Then the thought was, what if we start one? Heidi? I have an idea.
Dana, are you crazy? How in the world are we going to get 20 people to join? Am I comfortable joining? I've never been in a Toastmasters Club before yet, and I'm petrified of public speaking. Petrified! Eventually, Dana got me to my first Toastmasters Club, a different one, not this one first, and I got to experience it, and once I started, I could not stop. Common Toastmaster problem, I tell you. But I loved it. I loved the warm environments. I loved that we could learn table topics, speak off the cuff. We could speak where we have our speeches prepared ahead of time, and we got evaluations, and it was fantastic. And every time I went, I felt like my confidence was boosted more, and I was even learning leadership skills too. So I was really enjoying that. So I thought, yes, we could do this. We could do this. This program really helps me imagine what it can do for the LGBT community as well.
We had a vision.
And so our vision was to take these mainstream resources with the Toastmasters organization and work with them, partner up together, collaborate by utilizing the program, utilizing the pre-existing test design, the speaking portions, the advancing through the speaking parts, and advancing through the leadership portions. And it was a wonderful structure where every 6 months a leader could be put in, not a dictatorship for years and years. Which we had experienced in other groups before. But it was a wonderful opportunity for us all. We felt like this was a great design. We wanted to not only learn from Toastmasters, but also support Toastmasters, be part of that organization.
And there's a second part to the vision, too. It has to do with the LGBT community. Because, you see, we wanted LGBT people to be able to speak out. Not just as activists, you know, shouting and carrying signs, but also one of my favorite expressions I said to people at the time was, there isn't a single LGBT organization that will help you get the streetlights on your street fixed. The vision was to have us be citizens in the full sense of the word. And because of that, the club had to be participatory, but there were other factors too. We definitely cared about the democracy, because we knew that the level of LGBT discrimination was going to go down over time, and that the club would evolve eventually to being any other Toastmasters club. And people wonder, why did this matter back in 2003? In order to accomplish that, in order to set the club up to be able to carry out that evolution, we made sure that our goal was be to the best darn Toastmasters club we could be.
So how did we do it?
Well, the first problem was connecting with Toastmasters. And a great story that I had heard is that this club was actually the answer to a prayer. Back in 2003, a lot of aerospace industry were laying people off. A lot of Toastmasters clubs were folding. And one of the district officers was saying that she was praying, please, there has to be a group of people that we can help. And our email was the answer to the prayer. It's like, of course, the LGBT community. Now the thing is, not everybody was so thrilled about the idea. There were people in Toastmasters, hard to believe as it is today, but there were people in Toastmasters who were saying, a gay Toastmasters club? There were people who came to us who were saying, you have straight people in your Toastmasters club? And there were people, particularly in the trans community, who were saying, why do you want to join these other communities? Can't we do this just insular ourselves? But no. We stuck to our vision, and we found that people were joining our vision. One of the most amazing experiences for me back then, because this is the first time this happened in my life, was that there were people signing up, handing me $50 checks, who couldn't even attend the meetings, but who were so thrilled by the vision that they wanted to support this club anyway. But there were other problems to solve.
And the first problem was planning the demonstration meeting. My goodness, here we are, brand new. Let's do a demonstration meeting in this very same room, by the way, on a rainy day on the Ides of March, March 15th. It was pouring rain outside, which is crazy for California. Typical for Florida, but crazy for California. But we found the location. It was here. We found the Gay Lesbian Center of Long Beach. And we'd already had a connection. So when we asked, we were so grateful that they said, absolutely yes, this is the place for you. This is where you're welcome to have the club meeting. And so we did. And so we came here to the center, and we had connections before from other groups like BINET LA and others that had met here. And
Center allowed us to meet for free as long as we passed the hat, and that was really important because we had no budget.
yes, that was very key. We were so grateful. So our first initial meetings were hysterical. There were only a couple people. There were like 8 to 10 or so, because as you're getting started, it takes a while. Our initial meetings, we had 8 people attend the demonstration meeting, and then 10 actually signed up, which is fantastic. Unheard of. But there was a lot going on, and we had these meetings every Saturday. We were resolving to meet, and at that time we met the bright and early time of noon to 2. And we were so exhausted we had to take naps afterwards. But there was a lot to do.
It was often Dana's Toastmaster, Heidee's Toastmaster, Dana's Toastmaster, Heidee's Toastmaster.
Absolutely. But people started showing up, and as more showed up, the less back and forth of us as Toastmasters, and the more we got to share the duties. And we finally hit, well, it wasn't that long, 3 months later, we hit our milestone, and we had 20 people to charter.
At that point, it was congratulations, you're a Toastmasters Club. Who are you sending to the area contest? We held a contest, one contest only, not 2, and we appointed a new member, an experienced Toastmaster who came from out of state, Larry Fay, to be our representative to the evaluation contest. Patricia remembers this because Larry beat him, and you were like, beat her. What? Do you know who I am? Larry, who really did a wonderful thing, very important thing for the club. He turned the club from being Dana and Heidee's club into our club during his service as the second president. He also did something else very important. It was Larry who invited Patricia to join the club.
And it was Patricia who was one of our mentors, but before that we even had Reet as our mentor, so we were so blessed to have both Reet and Patricia as mentors. But they, typical span of time when you're a mentor for a club is what, 6 months? 6 months. They've stayed on far longer, and they've been here as part of their second family ever since.
Mommy.
Yes, they've been our mother bears.
We are so grateful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And true to our vision, we almost immediately started giving back to Toastmasters. This building is great because there's all sorts of little small offices in here. We had the orientation and makeup officer training here. And would you believe, as hard as it is to believe today, there were people who complained to the district, I don't want to step foot in the Gay and Lesbian Center. You're just not going to hear that today. We also continued.
Boo to them.
And we have other reasons to celebrate. We got to give back to 2 different groups. We got to give back to the Toastmasters organization by hosting the area contests, through the speech contests at our locations as well as over in Lakewood. And then we got to give back to the LGBT community itself with the youth leadership program as well. So we were so blessed to be able to do that.
And as we were going through that, doubt about this club vanished. We went from being, who are they, to being well recognized across the district as a really high quality Toastmasters Club. Heidee and I had our own successes too. Shortly after, in October 2003, I got my job at JPL, which is also where I transitioned on the job. And in 2005, AB 1586, a bill that made the type of discrimination I faced illegal in California, was signed into law.
And I had also some successes also to celebrate. I was able to change from a position that I'd been in with the school district to one that I really, really liked and I preferred, with more leadership responsibilities, and I got along really well with the staff, and it was just a wonderful experience for many years, so it's really helped me a lot too.
So think back. It was a rainy Ides of March 10 years ago. This room, 8 community members showed up, 10 people joined. Within 3 months, which was absolute record time, we chartered.
Look how far we've come.
Thank you,
Speak
Out.